I say the same thing about Jalen Hurts when people bring that up to me. "Oh, he doesn't throw passing. I don't care. It's look at what he's doing. Look at this impact on the game.
Welcome back, guys. John McMullen and Jody McDonald on an undefeated Wednesday. It's going to be a walkthrough Wednesday, too, when McMullen gets over there. But you should get a chance to hear something from the coach after walkthrough Wednesday today. And we'll see if we get an update on any of the injured Eagles, whether they will or won't be back. Chances are the coach will keep that under wraps because he loves those competitive advantages.
We're going to get an estimated injury report today, Jody, because of the walkthrough. And yeah, the coach isn't going to talk about it before. I don't get it. But, big week. You want to get Jordan Mailata back. Hopefully, he was pushing to play in Arizona, so maybe it's better than people realize that he could be back. Devonta Maddox has now missed 2 games, so he's probably going to be close to getting back in this game. That'll be big for the defense. Although Josiah Scott played pretty well in Arizona.
He did. Much better than he played the week before.
Yeah, much better. Yeah. So it was nice to see him up his game. But you want Devonta Maddox out there. And then Jason Kelce, he's going to play. How healthy is he going to be? Isaac Seumalo played through his ankle injury last week. Played the entire game. He's banged up. Landon Dickerson's banged up. So, everybody, 4 out of 5 of the offensive linemen are banged up, the typical starters. And Lane Johnson's, has had 3 ankle surgeries. So he's always, at his age, and you always got to be concerned. So I think that's what the walkthrough is about. They want to get this offensive line as healthy as possible for this game.
All right, John, you were singing the praises, rightfully so, of Jalen Hurts earlier, and the fact that he just hasn't thrown interceptions with the amount that he handles the football, which includes running plays, including the quarterback sneaks that get the Eagles into the end zone. Pretty damn important. He just doesn't give the football up. His numbers are what his numbers are. How many players do you think right now in the NFL are ahead of Jalen Hurts in MVP voting? As per a major wagering site that put odds on the MVP.
I see, the way I think he's 3rd or 4th in the wagering, most of the wagering. I could be wrong, but I think he's in that range. But if you want my personal opinion, there are more, I think, probably ahead of him in the real world for this reason. And by the way, I don't agree with this, but I think because he doesn't throw passing touchdowns. When you talk about MVP and you talk about even Offensive Player of the Year in the actual NFL awards, they give it to guys who pile up numbers. And they're not going to look at the context of domination. Now, maybe if he goes 17-0, maybe that changes the but in general principle, they're going to give it to somebody with explosive numbers, and he doesn't throw enough passing touchdowns. That which is stupid. I'll be the first to say it, but it is what it is.
Here's where I think he can make up for the lack of passing touchdowns. If he sets the record for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in the history of the National Football League, which is there's a yin and a yang to it. The yin being, they used to actually have running quarterbacks way back when, before the McMullen and McDonald time, which, yes, wasn't the Ice Age, even though we both been around for a long time. You got to go way the hell back to when the quarterback used to be the number one runner of the football. But that was when they were playing 12 games a season. Now they're playing 17. So it does kind of balance itself out. He's got a chance to have more rushing touchdowns than any quarterback in the history of the National Football League. He does that, the lack of touchdown passes will go by the board.
Maybe, and I hope so, to be honest, because I hope people take the context into it, the context of the way he's playing. And we'll see. I always say, you mentioned how long we've been around, and I say this all the time, and I tell the story. I've been covering this league for a long time, and I've never once played fantasy football in my life,
Oh, I
not
have.
once. And the reason why is because back in the days of Troy Aikman, I was so turned off by people telling me Troy Aikman couldn't play because he didn't put up these big numbers from a passing perspective. And I said, this is stupid. I want nothing to do with it. And I've never played it from that point forward. Um, I say the same thing about Jalen Hurts when people bring that up to me. "Oh, he doesn't throw passing. I don't care. It's look at what he's doing. Look at this impact on the game. Um, Same type of thing. And I hope you're right. I hope people have gotten more educated to the game. I think they are by and large. I think fans are more educated than ever. Um, doesn't matter how you get it in the end zone if you get it in the end zone.
Right now, this was at VegasInsider.com, which is a website that I use. They really do cover everything, so they're just a really effective resource. Three guys in the National Football League that have shorter odds than Jalen Hurts for MVP on VegasInsider.com. Lamar Jackson, 5.5 to 1. And oh, by the way, if you ask me right now, who's more of an MVP, Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts? I would say Jalen Hurts, even though his odds are slightly higher. That Mahomes guy coming off his 4-touchdown performance on Monday night, which, by the way, I don't think we touched on this yesterday. How bad are the Las Vegas Raiders? How dumb are the Las Vegas?
No, they're not bad. They're dumb.
No, they're
from
bad.
Their head coach. From
When I'm saying they're bad, being poorly coached is a big part of that.
Yeah.
Jason Kelce catches 4 touchdown passes.
That
the
would
best
be something.
receiving tight end we've seen in forever. Every single one of them is inside the red zone. It isn't like he shook loose and left the guy in the dust or whatever. How do you not cover Jason Kelce inside the 10-yard line? And Mahomes just kept throwing it to him, and it wasn't like he made these great thread the needle over the shoulder catches. He's friggin' wide open. How do the Raiders let something like that happen? Poorly coached. They're terrible. Anyway, Mahomes is 5 to 1, and Josh Allen is your favorite at 2 to 1. So Allen 2, Mahomes 5, Lamar 5.5, Jalen Hurts 6, and then comes a pretty big drop off down to Justin Herbert at 12 to 1. I'll give you one that for the 2 or 3 Cowboy listeners, because we got the stream here. Appreciate all the guys that are on, Nathan and Dominique and Daz, and appreciate all our streamers. Is a Cowboy fan who sneaks in there every once in a while, ticks everybody off. For the Cowboy guy, how about Micah Parsons at 200 to 1? 200. If you want Josh Allen, you get 2 to 1 on your money. You put up 100, you get 200. 200 to 1 on Micah Parsons. He's the MVP of the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, Cooper Rush fans who, he's 4-0. He's 4-0 because of Micah Parsons. That's why Cooper Rush is 4-0. Take 200 to 1 on Micah Parsons as MVP, Johnny Mac?
Well, if you want to waste your money, go ahead. I mean, it's not an insult to Micah Parsons. It's just
it is wasting your money on his MVP.
Well, no,
that's absolutely an insult to Micah Parsons.
No, it's not, because I mean, I think the last defensive player to win NFL MVP was Alan Page. So, they don't give it to defensive players. So that's all I'm saying. They don't give it to defensive players. And I'm going to look to make sure I'm correct on that. Who the last defensive player to win NFL MVP was? Alan Page, 1971. So
that was a while
go
ago.
ahead.
Yeah, it's all right. So it's been 50 years. But if the Cowboys, and I think, by the way, I'm on record. I said this here yesterday. And we'll say it on tomorrow's show and on Friday's show as well. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to win. I think they're the better team.
Take it back, Jody. Lawrence Taylor won it in 86. So I was looking. I said if Lawrence didn't win it, nobody's winning it, but he did win it in 86. So I want to correct that. So it went 71 to 86 and now 86 86.
All right, so it hasn't been 50 years. It's only been 35
Yeah.
since a defensive player won the MVP. I'm just saying, if the Cowboys, which I'm not suggesting this is happening because I'm on record, I think the Eagles are going to win this week. I think they're going to win by at least a touchdown. By Friday, I'll decide whether I want to go more like double digits or even 2 touchdowns. I really do think the Eagles are winning this week. But if they don't, if they lose,
Oh, it'll
if the
be because of
Cowboys
Micah
win
Parsons.
and Micah Parsons gets 3 sacks and the Cowboys pull into a tie with the Eagles at 6-1 and are tied for the best record in the National Football League, they'll have just taken down the only undefeated team. Oh, you know what that number is going to go from? From 200 to 1 to 50.
Well, yeah, all right. So I just gave you the number. So we go 71 to 86. If anybody's going to win it, it's going to be Micah Parsons. Now we've just gone through probably, I don't know, the greatest 5-6 year stretch a defensive player has had in a long time. Aaron Donald wasn't able to win one. If you got the money to waste, yeah, throw it out there. Throw it out there on Micah Parsons.
If you're talking 200 to 1, you throw down $5, you win 1,000. That's if you got you might spend $5 on Powerball is what you want. Mega Millions, you want the 400 million. Maybe I'll tell you this right now. There's a better chance that Micah Parsons winning defense MVP of the National Football League.
If anybody's going
to Pete from next door winning the Mega Millions drawing this week.
If anybody's going to win it, it's going to be Micah Parsons from the defensive side of the football. Unfortunately, and this is for Eagles fans as well, this is a 2-horse race. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You know, everything's barring injury, but
so you're dismissing Jalen too.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Unless the Eagles go 17-0, that might change things. And they might get to 10-0, so who knows?
How about you, boy? Aaron Rodgers, 40 to 1. He's won back-to-back MVPs. Get his 3rd in a row. You get 40 to 1 on Aaron Rodgers.
I would say if you want value, I would go Rodgers before Parsons.
Okay, so wait a minute. You like Rodgers better than Micah?
Well, as for NFL MVP, yeah. I mean, if he goes nuts, and we all know he has the capability to do that, and it's an offensive award, is what I'm trying to say. It's an offensive award. That's what it is. Unfortunately, and by the way, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It should be, but you know. J.J. Watt, I think people forget, he won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards in a row. I think people forget how dominant he was. I just mentioned Aaron Donald. We've seen some of the greatest defensive players ever in recent history. I just mentioned maybe the greatest defensive player ever, Lawrence Taylor, the last one to win it. If Lawrence Taylor isn't, it might be Reggie White. Reggie never got it. It's an offensive award.
Understood,
that's what it is.
But that's why you're getting 200 to 1.
Yeah.
That's where you're building up that value, because he is absolutely been the best defensive player in the league this year, and he's 200 to 1 to win the MVP. I just think there's some pretty good value in there. And if you're going to play it, if you're me and you're looking at these future markets like I do, you're always looking for value. The value will disappear if he has a big week this week, because it's against the Eagles. They're the only undefeated team. If he is a major reason why, and maybe the number one reason why the Cowboys win and get to, which, oh, by the way, let me repeat. I'm not predicting. I think the Eagles are winning this week. I'm just talking about a hypothetical here. If it happens, it'll go from 200 to 50. The biggest movement in the MVP.
And by the way, 50 is still value. Yeah, 50 is still value. Not nearly as much, but that tells you he could have 3 sacks, as you mentioned. The Cowboys beat the only undefeated team, and he's only going to 50 to 1 because it's an offensive award. That's the problem. That's the problem.
We shall see. All right. We're hoping to get Gary Myers up here next. I just text with Gary, and he said he did get the link, so that's good. He should be ready to join us. All-time NFL writer and Hall of Fame selector Gary Myers going to jump aboard here with us on Birds 365.